Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be testing out a foundation. I know you guys probably are aware there have been so many foundation launches recently. I've even been overwhelmed with all the foundation launches and I'm obsessed with foundations. So recently I've kind of taken a step back and I didn't buy a lot of the new foundations. I still haven't bought or tried the Anastasia one, the Urban Decay foundation, the Pat McGrath foundation, among all the others that have launched recently. However, I knew that I would have to review this one right here. This is a foundation that as soon as I saw it was going to be launched, I knew I had to try it. So I recently purchased it off of Charlotte Tilbury's website and it came yesterday. So we're going to be trying the new Airbrush Flawless Foundation from Charlotte Tilbury. This is a full coverage foundation, which is what I'm usually into. I also picked up the new Magic Under Eye Face Cheat Corrector. She just launched these as well, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to try them both in this video. Charlotte Tilbury is a brand that I absolutely love. Every single look that she creates and all of her products really fit the aesthetic that I personally gravitate towards. So I'm really hoping that this foundation will work for me. I've actually tried a lot of her complexion products, but I've never tried a foundation from her, which is kind of crazy. I've tried primers and powders and concealers and bronzers and all that stuff, but I've never tried a foundation. So this is my first Charlotte Tilbury foundation that I've ever purchased. And my wear test is going to be more of a vlog style type video because I'm actually going down to see my sister for her birthday tonight. So it's going to be the perfect day to see how long this foundation wears because I'm going to have to wear it for several hours. So I'm on the website. Let's go ahead and read about this foundation. So apparently it visibly reduces the appearance of wrinkles by up to 22% after 8 weeks of use. Really? So it seems like there might be some skincare benefits. Let me see what else it says. It's supposed to be weightless and full coverage with a natural matte finish. Wow, there's lots of like technologies that they're talking about. I'm not going to go through every single one, but basically it's supposed to help hydrate your skin and it's supposed to have like a cooling effect, it seems like. This foundation comes in 44 shades and apparently this foundation does oxidize a little bit. It says to leave it on for 5 minutes when choosing your color because it's going to oxidize. It says optimize on the website. Hopefully the shade I picked will work. Wow, there's like a lot of different special things about this foundation. If you're really curious to read through all the different details about it, you can go ahead and click on the link down below and read through the product description. This retails for $44, so not the cheapest foundation, but also not the most expensive. I personally feel like around the $30 and $40 range is pretty average for a more high-end foundation, so I actually don't have any complaints about the price. Let's just get right into application. I'm just gonna push my hair back really quick. I thought that I would kind of pair it with a lot of Charlotte Tilbury products that I'm already familiar with and that I love because I'm interested to see how it would work with her products. I'm assuming they would work well. So underneath the foundation, I'm going to go ahead and apply the Hollywood Flawless Filter. I love this. This is in the shade 2 Light. This is like a glowy primer. As far as I'm concerned, it does not really help with the longevity of makeup. I've never really noticed that in other foundations that I've worn over top of it, but what I do love about it is just that fresh glow that it gives. And I usually reach for a primer like this when I know I'm going to be using a more matte finish foundation or a full coverage foundation. I just feel like it helps the end result look way more natural. So I'm just going to go ahead and buff that out with my Real Techniques buffing brush. Do you guys have a favorite makeup brand? It can be high-end or drugstore, but I feel like Charlotte Tilbury is one of those brands. I have a lot of favorites, okay? I can't pick one, but it is one of those brands that's always on my radar, and every time she launches something, I truly get very excited. I don't necessarily buy all the launches, but it is a brand where most of the launches really intrigue me. Do you guys have a brand that does that for you? I want to know in the comments. All right, so now our base is nice and fresh and hydrated and glowy. I did already do my morning skincare underneath, if you're wondering, but now we look even more fresh. So let's go ahead and go into this foundation. Here's what the packaging looks like. I picked up the shade 3 Neutral, and I'm really hoping that after it oxidizes or dries down or optimizes or whatever word they used, I hope that this shade works. First of all, I think they killed it on the packaging. Charlotte Tilbury packaging is one of my favorites. Everything always looks so luxe. You really get what you pay for. It's a really nice glass bottle with a gorgeous gold cap and a pump, which is great. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pump one pump on the back of my hand, which equals about that much product. Oh, it's a little bit more thin than I was expecting. I almost expected something more velvety and not so runny, but this could be a really good thing. So I'm just gonna take about half of that off the back of my hand. Again, just using my Real Techniques brush, and we're gonna go ahead and start to apply this from the center of the face moving outward. And I'm just gonna see how far this goes with just half a pump. I know a lot of people when they do foundation reviews, they do like one half of the brush, one half of the sponge. I always use a brush and a sponge, so I just do the full face how I normally would. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of distribute this. So far the foundation seems to match. Hopefully when it dries, it's not completely different. I just dip back into a little bit more foundation for the forehead. And I'm also gonna make sure to blend this down the neck. All right, now I'm gonna take my sponge and I'm just taking a little bit of what's left on the back of my hand. I still have quite a bit of that first pump. I just wanna see how far half a pump goes on my skin. So I'm just gonna go over everything and press it in further with my beauty blender just to smooth everything out. Okay, so I feel like the coverage is definitely there and the foundation hasn't dried yet. So I'm really curious to see what the true color is. Right now, I'm really happy with what the color looks like, but I will also say that it doesn't seem to be as mattifying as I was expecting. I'm taking a tiny bit more of the foundation and I'm gonna build this up along the jawline. You guys know I usually spot conceal, but since this is a pretty full coverage foundation, I'm just gonna kind of layer up a tad bit more along the jawline where I feel like I need a little bit more coverage and a little bit on the cheeks too. Okay, so on the site it said to wait 5 minutes. So while we wait for that to kind of set, let's go ahead and try out the color corrector. This retails for $32 and it comes in 4 shades. So I picked up the shade Fair, which is more of like a peachy kind of a tone. I did swatch it when I first got it. I couldn't help myself. This can be used under the eyes or on the face to color correct. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use my fingers, I think. I was debating whether I should use a brush, but I'm not. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a little bit of this on my finger. And this has a cute little mirror in it, so that's perfect. And I'm gonna go ahead and press this in the darker parts of my under eye area. Oh wow, that's definitely working. I'm also going to kind of take it on the eyelid because they do have discoloration here. The thing with correctors is they're meant to be used underneath concealer, but as you can see, I'm not going to need that much concealer because of this peachy undertone that's correcting the bluish purple shade underneath my eye. This is really nice. And I really like how it works well for my skin tone. I own the Becca color corrector, and that's a beautiful corrector as well, but sometimes I feel like if I use too much, you can still see it through the concealer just because it's a little bit too dark for me. But this one, it's like the perfect light peach shade. I'm gonna do the same thing on the eyelid, just kind of blending that out with my finger. So far, the corrector looks really nice underneath the eyes. Again, we'll have to see how it wears throughout the day. We'll see if it creases or what happens, and I'm also curious to see what it looks like under concealer. Has it been 5 minutes? Probably not. However, the shade seems to be a perfect match for me, which I'm super excited about. Okay, so here's the foundation all over the skin. No powder, no concealer yet, just the corrector. I actually really do love how my skin looks. I don't feel like it feels very heavy. I'm not noticing much of a cooling effect. Maybe that's because I already have like my skincare underneath. I don't know. Regardless, it does feel very lightweight. I like the finish of it as well. It's not as mattifying as I was thinking it was gonna be, which is a good thing. I think that keeps the skin looking nice and fresh. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly go through my makeup. Again, I'm using a lot of Charlotte Tilbury products. I just thought it'd be fun to kind of do almost a full face of Charlotte Tilbury. So first underneath the eyes, I'm gonna take the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away Concealer. I'm gonna use the shade Too Fair. The packaging of this is just not the best, but the formula I personally really like. I don't always use this concealer, but you can see I've used quite a bit of it. I use this for special occasions mostly. Anyway, I'm just gonna tap a little bit of that underneath the eyes. And I really am trying to just tap it so that I don't take away that corrector underneath. And then I'm just gonna go in with my sponge and I'm gonna press that in underneath the eye. I'm not gonna wear too much concealer today because I really wanna see how the foundation wears on its own. And I'm so happy with how it covered everywhere else that I don't feel like I even need to spot conceal, which is great. I'm just gonna take what's left on the sponge and kind of tap out the eyelid just to make sure that that's nice and concealed. Next, I'm gonna go into the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Powder. This smells like stinky feet, but it is a beautiful powder. It does not last on the skin. The powder lasts, the scent doesn't last. I should clarify that. But I'm gonna use this to set the under eye area. And you know what I like to do with this powder sometimes? Since it does have more of a glowy finish, sometimes I'll mix it with more of a mattifying powder. And that way you get the benefits of the mattifying powder, but then you also get the luminous finish. It's a really beautiful combination when you mix this with something else. But for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna be using this powder on its own. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by pressing this underneath the eyes. And I'm also gonna go ahead and dust it on the eyelid to set. I also like to make sure to press the powder around like more hard to reach areas. So around the nose, around the mouth, and on the chin, and a little bit on the center of the forehead. And then I am gonna take a fluffier brush just with that same powder, and I'm just gonna press that on the rest of the face just to set that. I am loving how the complexion's looking. Even though it's a full coverage foundation and I set the entire face with powder, there's still a freshness to it, which I really love. I hope that this wears well. The wear test is where, you know, my opinion really forms, but so far, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I love how the skin looks right now. For bronzer, I'm gonna be dipping into the Charlotte Tilbury Filmstar Bronze and Blush Glow. So instead of the highlighter here, there's a blush. I'm gonna dip into the bronzer shade, which I'm actually not too familiar with this product. I've owned this for a while and I actually haven't used it that much. You know what I do love from her is her cream contour, the contour wand. I guess I could have used that today, but I kind of wanted to stick to powder products over the powder. Well, I feel like I should be using this bronzer more. It's beautiful. And it seems to be blending out so nicely. I always like to take the brush that we use with powder and just buff though, just to make sure it's all super duper blended and there's no harsh lines between where the bronzer starts and stops. For blush, I'm going to go into the Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic blush in the shade Pillow Talk, and I dug my nail in it. It was a while ago that happened. I'm so bummed still though. I'm just going to go ahead and smile and apply this to the apples of the cheeks. I'm going to move on to eyes because I do have a cream highlighter from Charlotte that I'm going to use, which I love. I kind of want to do a monochromatic look, which is something that I feel like Charlotte Tilbury does a lot, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I love her aesthetic so much. I'm going to actually take the Pillow Talk Luxury Palette, and it's just these beautiful pinky tones. Really, really easy to work with. So I'm going to take this shade first, and I'm going to buff this through the crease, kind of as our transition shade. I'm also going to take that same shade and run it underneath the lower lash line. Next, I'm going to take this shade right here and use that to kind of deepen up this outer portion of the eye. So along the lash line and into the crease right here, just blending it right into that first shade. And then a little bit on the lower lash line as well on the outer third. And then I'm going to take this shade right here, which is going to be like our highlight shade, and I'm going to pop that underneath the brow and a little bit in the inner corner of the eye. And I am actually going to drag a little bit of that onto the lid just to create a base for the glitter shade that I'm going to apply next. All right, now I'm going to take my finger and dip into this shade right here, which is like the glitter topper. I love these. This is one of my favorite things about the Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows, because you guys know how much I love glitter, and so I love to really build this up on the eyelid. I actually don't have a Charlotte Tilbury mascara. Have you guys tried mascaras from Charlotte Tilbury? Let me know which one you like if you have. It's been a minute since I've used this mascara and I love it. It's the By Terry Lash Expert Twist Brush Mascara, and I love it because you can actually twist the bottom of the cap and it twists the brush or the applicator, and it allows you to get super voluminous lashes, or you can untwist the brush and it's going to give you a little bit more of like a lengthened look, which I like to do for the lower lashes. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop this on the top and bottom lashes. Okay, so mascara is on, and before I go into the cream highlighter, I'm actually going to go back into another powder. This is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder. This is such a beautiful powder, especially when you want to really perfect the T-zone. That's how I like to use it. So I'm going to take a little bit of this, and I'm just going to kind of buff it into this area here. And it just kind of makes everything better. I'm going to pop it in the T-zone again as well, just to really make sure that that looks nice and poreless. Amazing. All right, I think I'm going to go back into a little bit of blush before going into the highlight. So I'm just going to pop a little bit more toward the front of the cheeks. And I am going to add a little more bronzer right now as well. Okay, so for highlighter, I'm going to go into the Hollywood Beauty Light Wand, again from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the most beautiful product. I'm just going to take a little bit on the back of my hand, and I'm going to use my sponge to apply it. So I'm just going to go ahead and dip this in and dip the sponge into the product, and then I'm just going to smile and kind of press it along the sides of the cheeks, and then I am going to press it on the front of the cheeks a little bit. And it just brings in the most beautiful natural glow. This stuff is amazing. I am going to take a little bit down the center of the nose and on the Cupid's bow, just like that. And I'm actually also going to take a little bit of what's left on the hand and pop it into the inner corner just to tie everything together. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wipe off any foundation that got on the lips. And since we use the Pillow Talk eyeshadow and blush, it's only fitting to use the Pillow Talk liner, which is like my favorite. Look at that. I've used quite a bit of it. So I'm going to go ahead and line and fill in the lips with this. Okay, and then we're going to top that with the famous Pillow Talk lipstick. I'm just going to take a little more blush and add that to the cheeks. And then to finish off the look, I'm going to go ahead and apply some Glossier Boy Brow just to keep my brows in place all day. Okay, so there's the final look that we're going to be wearing for the rest of the day. I'm going to come up close to the camera so you guys can kind of see what things look like right now. I honestly do feel like the skin looks very flawless. However, it doesn't look like the most natural foundation yet. I am noticing it's already kind of breaking up. I guess not breaking up, but settling right here and settling into the smile line right here as well. That happens with a lot of foundations, but I did want to point that out. I am noticing that already. But when I step back and I look at my complexion, I feel like it just looks so healthy and fresh, but glam. So again, it definitely is a full coverage foundation. Definitely not one that would fool people into thinking that you're not wearing any makeup, but I do really like how it looks on the skin. So let's go ahead and do our wear test. It's currently 12:38 in the afternoon. We're probably going to get on the road around 1 o'clock, and I will be vlogging for the rest of the day, letting you guys know how the foundation is looking. I actually have to run some errands at the mall to too, so we're just gonna see how this holds up throughout the rest of the night. I'm not coming home till pretty late as well, so I am gonna pack my lip liner and lipstick with me, and that's it. I'm gonna see how this wears on its own for the rest of the day. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start doing our wear test. So I will see you guys in my first check-in. All right, so my first check-in, as always, is right next to the window, so you guys can see how this looks in natural light. I really do still love how everything looks, but again, this is just after applying it. So of course it still looks pretty good. I can't wait to see how this wears throughout the day. I also forgot to mention just now that I did not use setting spray on purpose. There is a little bit more of a powdery finish because of that, but I usually don't like to use setting sprays, especially when it's a new foundation, just so that I can really see the finish throughout the day and see how the foundation holds up. So I will see you guys in my next check-in. We'll probably be on the road, but this is what it looks like right now. All right, so we are actually in the parking lot of the mall. So I wanted to come on here and just do a quick check-in. I've been wearing the foundation for about 3 hours, and to be honest, it looks pretty similar to where it looked right when I started. The smile line looks the same. There is a little bit of settling nose, but other than that, don't you think it looks good? Mm-hmm. It's very like full coverage, very glam, but
it's beautiful.
I think it looks really nice. So yeah, 3 hours in, we're looking good. I will check in with you guys later. We gotta go shopping, so we'll see you in a minute. So I've been wearing it for about 7 hours now, and what do we think, everybody, about my foundation? Yeah, looks pretty good still. I think that it's separating a little bit here and around here, but that's very normal, and I just thought I would catch it in golden hour. Not too shabby. What do you think?
Yeah, looks good.
So far so good. It is a little bit more shiny, but I'm not mad at it. It doesn't look, hey. It doesn't look oily, does it? Do I just look glowy, not greasy? Glowy. Yeah. Gals.
Glowy, not greasy.
Do we look related? Because we are. So I just got home. It was kind of a long drive to get all the way back home. So it's currently 1:40 in the morning. And so that means I've been wearing this foundation for 13 hours. That's probably the longest amount of time I've ever worn a foundation in a review video. I know this lighting isn't exactly ideal. I am sitting in my garage right now. Before I go inside, I'm going to crash. I'm so tired, but I did want to come on here and finish the video kind of more vlog style and casual. I will say for most of the day, my skin looked really, really good. I definitely liked how the makeup looked. It looked the same for several hours. It wasn't until probably like the 9th or 10th hour that it started to kind of do the thing where it breaks up around my mouth and chin area, which happens with a lot of foundations. I also tend to wipe my nose here, so there is some coverage that was taken off my nose right about here. But with that being said, for 13 hours, I'm pretty impressed. It's definitely not a foundation that I would wear again for 13 hours, but it's definitely something that I'm going to continue to reach for and continue to use. I definitely will say that I noticed my forehead especially looked a little bit more, I don't want to say cakey, but just a little heavier than the rest of my face. And I remembered that I applied a little bit more foundation there than I normally would have. So with that in mind, when I wear this foundation again, I am going to be a little bit more conscious about how much product I put on the skin, just because I feel like it's a foundation that can look makeupy quickly if you're not using the right amount. But with that being said, and like you guys saw when I applied it, I really liked how I only needed a little bit to get maximum coverage. So I was really happy with how my foundation looked today. Everyone that I was with said the foundation looked good as well. It is starting to look a little expired at this point, but hey, what foundation wouldn't look a little bit, you know, worn in after 13 hours of wearing it? So with that being said, I feel like I would give this foundation an 8.5 out of 10. That's just because I'm still trying it out, but off of my very first impressions and off of the products that I wore with it, I really did enjoy how it looked. It's definitely one that I would recommend for more glam days, or if you're somebody who's into a more full coverage foundation kind of effect. It's definitely going to give you a really nice, flawless kind of base. So I'm really happy that I picked it up. I'm really happy that I bought it, and I'm happy that I was able to wear it for this long today. I do feel like I'm going to continue to reach for it, and I have a lot of good things to say about it so far. So that's it for today's video. I will definitely continue to keep you guys posted on all of the foundations I've been trying recently, and maybe I'll try to do a little bit of like a roundup in my next favorites video or something like that. Sorry if the camera's shaking a little bit. I'm so tired, my voice is like going away. I need to go to sleep. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Leave a comment down below if there's any other foundations that you would like to see me review, or if there's other videos that you would like to see me do on my channel. I always love to hear from you. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie, and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button, and if you're already a subscriber but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays when I post, click on the bell after you subscribe and you'll get a notification every single time I upload. Alrighty, so pretty good with the Charlotte Tilbury Foundation, my friends. We're getting real up close now. Thanks again for watching, you guys. I love you all so much, and I hope you have a great day wherever you are. I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye.